Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Geek Talk, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening live on Saturday, February 23rd at 1 p.m. Central on 101.1 FM, The Answer in the Little Rock, Central Arkansas area, or if you're listening live via the online stream at 1011fmtheanswer.com, just glad to have you. And of course, if you're listening by podcast or on YouTube or Krypton Radio or any of those wonderful, lovely venues that the show goes on after the live show a few days later, just darn tickled pink to have you again. This is Shane Plays Geek Talk. It's Geek Talk Radio. It's just fun pop culture geeky talk radio. This is a live show today, so if you'd like to call in, you can call in at 501-823-0965. That's 501-823-0965. Or you can tweet me at Shane Plays. That's ShanePlays. Shane Plays. And you can also go to shaneplays.com for archive shows and all of that good stuff. I'm joined today by friend of the show, William Burkeen.
Hello.
Bill, how the heck are you, buddy?
I am doing quite well.
Yeah. Well, it's been a fun morning. I guess it's a fun afternoon now.
Yeah.
Before I forget.
If you like rain, yes.
If you like rain. And speaking of, before I forget, if people are listening live, I just passed 10 minutes ago on the way into the show, right when you come off 30 onto 630 East, there's that sort of, it's like an overpass and a curve at the same time.
Yeah.
And it looked like a decent wreck.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, and there was a white car turned around with the front smashed in.
Actually, I came in on 4:30, so the wreck I saw was different than the wreck
you saw. A
you
different
saw.
wreck.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this one, like I don't know. There was a truck pulled over. I don't know if it was in the wreck or if it had stopped to help. There was a white, and it's right on that curve, right on, so it's like when people are whipping around, it's right there. So that's why I'm letting people know if they're, listening live in that area. And there was a guy on the phone, I'm assuming calling 911 or whatever, but also trying to, I realized when I'm about 300 yards past, I look back and I realized he's waving like stop and help. So I called 911 and reported it and everything. Yeah. So, but just be aware right there.
So you've done your good deed for the day.
I guess. Yeah. I felt bad that I didn't realize it. Honestly, I didn't realize until I'm way down the road that it looks like he's calling for, like waving his hands, or maybe he started waving after I passed. I don't know.
So that means that you are free to be a jerk for the rest of the day.
I guess. Yeah.
So
I've got I just hope whoever's in that white car is okay. Yeah. So, but yes, you're right. Philosophically speaking, I've done a good deed for the day, but keep an eye out there. Now, where was your wreck?
It was on,
not your wreck. But
I was coming in from across the river.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're listening on the podcast, there will be a quiz about Pulaski County geography.
Yes.
Later on. Coming in, and they were coming the opposite way, going north, and there were several police cars and an ambulance there already, and traffic was back. Apparently, they came down off that new exit from Cantrell onto 430, and apparently it was a little slippy slidey. And it looks like they had collided with another vehicle. I only saw one car that was damaged, but it was facing it was facing toward the road,
right?
But the front end was all caved in.
Okay.
So apparently it struck something and spun around or something of that nature.
Well, be safe out there, folks. So that's all I could say. And I guess, I don't know, supposedly stuff's going to clear out around noon or maybe it's already clearing out. I don't know. But anyway, okay, moving right along. Today's going to be a fun show because there was some last minute stuff going on. We're going to talk today. First, we're going to talk to a buddy of mine here in a second who I'm pleased to have on. But we're also going to talk. We got some geek news, comic book news. We've got William Burkeen joining us, Bill Burkeen, libertarian at large and geek at large, and we're going to be talking about got some Netflix TV show news. We got comic book news. We got some really interesting Spider-Man stories I want to dig into. So unfortunately, I didn't actually get a chance to talk about these two Spider-Man related news items, topics, if you will, but they're really interesting, and I'm going to link them in the show notes, and I do hope to talk about them in a future show. But go check them out if you get a chance. One of them is it says how Amazing Fantasy number 15's original art ended up in the Library of Congress. And the other one is there's this interesting story about Mexico actually licensed and produced their own Spider-Man comic books that sort of ran in conjunction with the Marvel Spider-Man stuff that was coming out of America. And there's I guess a thought out there that it was because the Mexican publishers in Mexico, is that redundant, thought that if they killed off Gwen Stacy, that the readers would lose interest. So they actually, there's a, a history out there. Or is it a legend? Is it true that they kept producing their own comic books that diverged from Marvel's and kept Gwen Stacy alive? So there's a really interesting story about whether that's true. And regardless, Mexico did license and publish their own Spider-Man comics that look really interesting. So I'd like to read them. Anyway, go check those news stories out if you're interested in, and I do hope to talk about them in a future show. And then we're going to be talking also about Section 0, 1959, which is the new project from Karl Kesel and Tom Grummett. Karl originally was scheduled to be on today and literally had to bow out about an hour ago due to a horrible ickies. He was really sick this week. He got to feeling better, thought he could make it, and then at the last minute, he's like, it's back. So he's down, and Karl, we wish you the best, but we will talk about, well, I don't know if allegedly we'll talk about the alleged Section 0.
There is no
Section 0. Alleged. That you think that they caught wind that maybe we were going to talk about it?
Well, it was some kind of biological agent.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah. Okay, Karl, we wish you the best. So, all right, I've got a special treat right now. And then, folks, do keep listening. We're going to have some cool news. We're going to be talking about Netflix and comic book shows and Spider-Man and all kinds of just crazy, weird, wacky, wild stuff. But first, I've got a special shout out that I want to give to a friend.
Hi guys, welcome back.
I love it how he goes, hey guys, welcome back. Matt, are you with us by the magic of Skype?
Yes, I am here by the grace of Skype, talking to the good Shane Meriton. Yes,
and my good friend.
That's your new nickname, by the way.
Yeah, the Shane Meriton. Well, all I did was dial 911. So this longtime listeners of the show will know that Matt and I are friends, both on the show and outside the show. Matt has a YouTube interview show. It's not just an interview show, but it's more than that. But Matt Barton, it's actually Dr. Matt Barton. He's literally a PhD, and he teaches video games, and then also literature and some other stuff. But mainly, he focuses on video games. He's got multiple books under his belt about the history of video games and interviewing developers. And you just had your 10-year anniversary of your interview, Matt Chat interview show on YouTube.
An entire decade.
A decade. Now, to put that in perspective, 10 years ago, everybody and their uncle wasn't on YouTube.
Yes.
Right?
That's correct.
Yeah, you had to use a dial-up connection back then.
Right. So
on America Online.
And you were limited to 10 minutes an episode, 10 minutes of video.
Oh, no, I don't even think I had that long.
Did you not have that long? All right. Well, anyway, it's still going today. Folks, go to YouTube and search for Matt Chat. For those of you that are listening by podcast or on Krypton Radio or whatever, after the live show, it'll be in the show notes. But tell us a little bit about what your show covers, Matt.
Well, it covers pretty much the video game classics. I started off, I've kind of become lately, maybe the past half of the show or maybe past 5 years, more focused on role-playing games than anything else. But I mean, originally I was doing everything from Atari games to Nintendo stuff. And, pretty much any landmark, groundbreaking game. I like to do interviews with developers on it, or at the very least, just play it and talk about the history of it.
Right. And you have you have interviewed some of the biggest names in video games and computer role playing games and that sort of thing. You're still going strong. And every now and then you'll do a retrospective of an older game and just sort of play the game and talk about it. Sometimes you'll play a new game. Sometimes you'll interview new developers. Sometimes you'll interview, developers who made their mark 20 years ago. But it's always fascinating stuff. And as I enthused on social media a couple of days ago, what you're doing is, in retrospect, going to be an important, really archaeological record. Because, and let me explain what I mean by that.
Are you saying I'm a fossil?
I'm saying you're a fossil. So, you rat. Matt loves rats.
He's calling you Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you're Indiana Jones. Yeah, you're Indiana Jones. And if people don't know, I should have queued this up to play it. I'll try to find it. I've got it on SoundCloud. I'll send it to Zach to play maybe later in the show, or I'll work in the podcast version. When Matt's playing a game and he encounters a rat, something deeply fundamentally chemical happens in his brain, and he gets happier than anybody that I've ever seen.
It's a primordial response.
Fighting rats. I'm going to find out. It's on my SoundCloud account. I'll see if I can find it. I got a clip of you.
I mean, everybody does that, though, right?
No comment. So, what do you got coming up? What do you got coming up next? Anything? I know you've been super busy with not only you're a active professor, teaching professor. You're also working on Dungeons and Desktops 2.0, which is the update of your super popular Dungeons and Desktops history of computer role playing games book. But do you have anything in the can or planned for Matt Chat?
Oh, yeah. I've got a pretty special idea planned for this upcoming episode.
Yeah.
Take us all the way. I don't want to give it away, but something that's been requested for a long time that ties neatly into the history of the show. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think we'll have some fun with it.
All right. Well, I said that will be super cool. So the other thing I want to let people know about is that on your show, you also do a news segment where you, talk about news and whatnot, but you also have the ale of the week. And what Matt will do, and I think some people watch Matt Chat for the ale of the week. I think there's like a Wikipedia page out there that tracks it. So you'll try a new ale.
What?
Yeah, it tracks how many horns you give it. Yeah, how many drinking horns you give each ale. And I know that people pay attention to this because one time you got like a spoiled ale, and then the next thing you know, like the distributor sent you like a whole new batch or something. So people watch this stuff. But anyway, so Matt will get an ale that he's never tried before. He'll pop it on air. If it has a cork in it, he tries to destroy his HD camera with the cork. He aims for the camera. And then he will drink it, and he will break down. I've never seen anybody do this. He will isolate what's in. He'll be like, I taste this. I taste cherry. I taste chocolate. I taste this. I mean,
aroma of
yeah, he will break down what's in the ale. And then he's kind of like a
wine tasting.
Like a wine tasting. But who was
basically my tongue is a mass spectrometer.
It's incredible. And then who was the lady that whenever she was cooking her cooking show, she would always take a little extra drink?
Was that Julia Child?
Julia Child. So Matt will take a couple of extra drinks of the ale just to be sure. And then
you want to be thorough.
And he puts it. He has the rather excellent drinking horn, which is like this big Viking drinking horn thing. And then he will give it between 1 to 5 drinking horns on what he thinks.
Is that based on how many drinking horns of it he drinks?
No, I think it's based on it's based on how he liked it.
That's a great idea, though. Really,
yeah, it really is. And the more he drinks, of course, he's usually gets a little bit more liberal in the drinking horns. So, so there you go. It's fascinating. And I've started to make a mini game because I've watched enough of these. I've watched hundreds of these now. that based on how Matt's reacting in his comments, I try to guess how many drinking horns the ale is going to get. So there you. How do you find?
Could you make a drinking game out of that?
You could.
Yeah.
So Matt, how do you find your ales?
Well, really, they find me. Nothing special. I mean, Minnesota, they've got a lot of Germans up here, so there's no shortage of ale. I mean, so we've got liquor stores here that are just amazing, just wall-to-wall beer.
Well, now, don't you have? And I'm about to wrap this and move on, but you are welcome to stay for as little or as much as the show as you'd like, my friend. I just want to make sure to give you a shout out. But
much appreciated.
Don't viewers send you in ales, and like they'll send you like retro computers and all kinds of crazy stuff?
Yeah, a lot of people, I guess they want to clear some space in their house or whatever, and they got this big box of basically treasure. And I guess they're afraid their kids might get into it. I don't know what the deal is, but they'll just pack it up and send it to me sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Speaking of, I don't know if you saw those pictures, but I got that Commodore 64C yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm eager to...
Who is our friend Mad Merv? He's kind of resurfaced lately. He's probably sent me more ale than anybody.
Yeah, in fact, I've still got keys for Mad Merv's game, and I promoted his show last time. Anyway, Matt, congratulations on 10 years
really
of...
appreciate it.
Yeah, 10 years of killing rats on Matt Chat. I am eagerly looking up that sound file right now. We'll probably play it coming back from a break, where you just absolutely exult in killing a rat. So, I mean, Matt literally, like, he likes to get Matt-themed or rat-themed gifts. Matt's a legitimate established fan of the rat. So, and it all comes back to, of course, in old computer role-playing games, the first quest they always sent you on was, like, go into the basement of the farmer's barn and kill the rats, right? So, which Matt loves dearly. So, did you have any questions or comments for my beloved friend, Matt, William?
All-time favorite old-school home console video game.
Ooh.
Console.
Mm-hmm.
For that, I'd probably have to go Ocarina.
So, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, well, definitely
All right.
Great game.
What about desktop? I know the answer to
Probably want
this.
to go
I know
Baldur's
the answer.
Gate 2 on that one.
What? I figured you would say Pool of Radiance. You're going Baldur's Gate 2?
Yeah, it's probably my all-around favorite.
All right.
Pool of Radiance will definitely be right up there.
All right. And the last question for you, Matt, and then we're going to move on to other geeky stuff. How do things look? I know that you've been sucked into proofreading, and I'm trying to get to some of the proofreading, and I'm about to gear up on building the website to help market the book. But where are we? Matt has been kind enough to allow me to be a co-author on Dungeons and Desktops 2.0. So where I know I've heard and felt your kvetching from afar on the proofreading. So what are we looking like there?
Well, it's a good thing I did proofread that thing, because there were quite a few. But as far as I know, it's all back to the publisher now.
All right. Well,
kind of strange. They have an India. The proofreader's based in India.
Yeah, we got some weird stuff. Like, what did they change the co-author? They said my writing partner. What did they change that to? Partner who also writes or something like that? Like they were trying to be as neutral and gender specific or unspecific as possible.
Oh, yeah. They
to the point
like
of ludicrousy.
They didn't like the word one-man band.
Yeah, which is just a what do you call it? Not a. I'm drawing a blank. It's an idiom, or it's just something we say. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
I can't even think of. There's not even really a good synonym for that.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're into computer role-playing games at all, like I am, and like Matt Barton obviously is, because he's established a huge part of his life and career on it, Dungeons and Desktops...
Unless you're a one-man band.
Unless you're a one-man band, in fact, which you should be a one gender unspecified entity of a collection of musical instruments that make music together. I don't know. Anyway. All right, Matt. Here's the 10 more years. And I have found...
It's yours.
I found the track, so I'm going to be getting that to Zach's greedy little hands, and we're going to be playing that live on air as you have a complete chemical meltdown over encountering a rat. Here it is right here. Yeah, Matt Barton of Matt Check kills a giant rat in Ultima 1, so I'll be getting that to Zach post-haste. Matt, you're welcome to hang out, or if you need to drop and go hang out with the lovely Elizabeth, I understand. But either way, I count myself blessed to have you as a friend, and you're a unique, cool dude.
Oh, rather excellent of you.
How rather excellent. Okay. So, Zach, just let Matt do whatever he wants. If he wants to hang, cool. If not, whatever. So, it's always fun to have him around, but he's a pretty busy dude, too. So, okay. William, you brought a couple of news items. So, what I want to do is I want to let you kick out one of your news items, and then we're going to banter with Zach a little bit, and then we'll get to a break.
All right. Well, the big news item that I found, of course, as I'm sure you're aware, in the some of the listeners that may not be aware, there have been several over the last couple of years Marvel-based TV series on Netflix.
Right.
Disney is starting their own streaming service. They're pulling most of their stuff, or all of their stuff actually, off of Netflix, which would include this partnership with them producing these Marvel-based TV series. And there's been a lot of angst about it. Over the last couple of days, the final two shows were canceled.
Which was Punisher
and Jessica Jones.
Okay.
Punisher, I'm about halfway through the current season of Punisher, the second season. And there's a third season of Jessica Jones that will be carried on Netflix, but that will be the final Netflix iteration of that program. And the fate of these shows was all kind of up in the air. Yesterday, according to WeGotThisCovered.com, though both of those shows are currently being negotiated to move to Hulu or FX. One of those two networks will carry the shows. The good news is they'll be back. The bad news is, due to a contractual conflict with Netflix, they can't air any of those shows for the next 2 years.
Okay. Hold on. Oh, I accidentally turned my mic off. I was trying to sneakily talk to Zach. Oh. So I'll just say out, Zach, I just texted you that sound file. So we'll probably play that before break. All right. So, and Disney now owns Hulu, right?
Yes. They have controlling interest in Hulu now.
And I'll tell you, Hulu is like the stalkerish non-girlfriend that wants to be my girlfriend, because they emailed me all the time and say, hey, we got a great deal for you. You can have a free month. And I never respond. And they're like, hey, for a short time only, you can have a free month. And I just never respond to it.
Yeah. Hulu it's like, you know how when the girl has the prom date and then they've got the standby date that they never actually go with, even if the main date doesn't fall. That's who Hulu is.
That's Hulu?
Yeah. I mean, Hulu has some good original programming, but, and they're really good for, they carry like all the network programming the next day.
Right.
So after it airs on NBC or ABC or whatever, it'll be on Hulu the next day. They don't have CBS because CBS has their own streaming service.
Well, that's when I stopped watching Hulu. I was using it for a while for that next day thing. But then everybody's launching their own streaming services, so they're like, nope, and they're pulling it over to that. And so it's just like, you know. And I saw this coming a long time ago. Everyone cut the cord, and now they're just giving us new cords, right? Yeah. It's like, I can't get everything on Netflix. I've got to have all these, and there's only so many streaming services I'm going to subscribe to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Hulu, so in 2 years, hopefully we'll have more. Now, originally, not that long ago, we thought we were going to get a Disney/Marvel streaming service.
Yeah. I follow, there's a site that I follow very closely called Cord Cutters News, and they are really, really on top of this stuff all the time. Disney, what they're doing is they're actually going to make Hulu is going to be kind of their more adult oriented service.
Okay.
And Disney Plus is going to, essentially it's going to be the traditional Disney library and the Disney Channel and all of that material. And it's going to be primarily, kid based.
Okay. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's man, I really don't want to spend too much time on this because I do want to talk about Section Zero and a little bit of the Spider-Man news, or Spider-Man, it's not really news, it's just interesting stories. DC is going to get itself into a corner at some point because all of their new content is very adult oriented.
Right.
But there's younger content right there too.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't object as much to the Titans being darker and Doom Patrol has been all over the place thematically. So I don't really object to Doom Patrol being as dark as it is, although I'd prefer it not be. Titans have not, like Star Trek always had this optimistic and they've gone off on their own path. Fair enough. Titans, it doesn't bother me as much because even though it's a lot darker than I want it to be, Titans has never been this like optimistic, it's a superhero show. So if they want to do it darker, but I just wish these shows weren't so dark. Yeah,
I would like to be able to share some of these things with my kids. I mean, we're talking about subscribing to DC Universe.
I did,
and a friend of mine had it, and he told me that they did not have any parental controls.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
And I don't, and I'm not real crazy about that. It seems like you would have something like that when you have all the library of like old Super Friends shows right next to this new Titan show where Robin's saying F Batman. Yeah, and all this other stuff.
And this is what I'm saying. I'm like, why?
I've told this story before. When the New 52 came out and they had the Catwoman issue with the questionable scene at the end.
Yeah.
I sent the DC Brass a notice that I never got a response to, and I basically told them, look, I don't care if you publish stories where this kind of thing goes on. That's absolutely your right. I prefer if you did not do it using characters that you also use to sell my kid lunchboxes and underwear.
Right. And for whatever reason, I don't know what the thinking is. DC wants to go dark. Their movies got dark. The first episode of Titans.
I think it's overcompensation.
Yeah, it's something.
It's because for so many years they were the Super Friends company, and
which built an empire.
But they were always during that period number 2 behind Marvel, and they never and everybody would tell, well, we like the Marvel stuff better because
which
it's
is
more
not dark.
But it's what I'm saying. It's an overcompensation.
There was more death, blood, gore, bullets, whatever, in the first episode of Titans, first 30 minutes, than the average supposedly hardcore R-rated movie from the 80s. Yeah. It was like, what? So anyway, I want to move on from that. Okay. I'm not talking about whether it's a quality show.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the darkness
just
of
the content.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to banter with my man Zach here real quick, and then we'll come back. We're going to talk section 0, and then if we have time, there's some really cool Spider-Man stuff I'd like to get to, but we'll see. Zach, as longtime listeners of the show know, if I don't banter with you, then the head of my news team, Sal, his grandmother, not him, but his grandmother and her dog Muffin get upset with me. All right, so we're going to banter, buddy. So there's no new chatter. The Mobley Detective Agency just, we got this Operation Uno Digits that keeps coming up on Muffin's smartphone. So, but there's, nothing really new going on right now. Now, Sal tells me that his new assistant, Miss Pennyfingers, is being extremely helpful and just doing everything, just getting her hands and everything and just really helping out and making herself indispensable. So, I'm still like, I wonder if this is a union plant, but we'll see. So my question for you, and we got to make it brief this week, so I'll probably get a nasty gram from Muffin. Are you going to watch the Oscars?
No, I never do.
Okay. William, do you watch the Oscars?
Not for years.
Yeah, it's not a thing for me anymore. Yeah.
No award shows.
And a lot of people complain about, various things about the Oscars, mostly because I haven't seen most of the movies that they're going to be talking about.
Okay.
Right.
I don't go see the movies that win the awards for the most part.
Right.
And I don't have any investment in it, so I don't really watch.
Well, if people don't know, and there's people out there that love the Oscars, it's their Super Bowl, they'll have watch party, and good for you. I'm just saying, me personally, I've just over the years lost interest, and for a couple of reasons. But if people don't know, the Oscars is not an open system. You have to belong to the Academy in order to win an Oscar, which is okay. I mean, there's nothing, I'm not saying that's bad, but what I'm saying is not every movie and actor and actress and et cetera could possibly win an Oscar. And I think a lot of people think that it's anything. and the other thing is, I've learned more and more about how the judges vote, and they, you're an Oscar judge. They get sent screener copies of the movies. We don't even know if they watch them all or not.
Yeah,
and they get lobbied like crazy. So like everything in Hollywood, it's really just a big hype and marketing scheme.
So you're saying it's fake?
I'm not saying it's fake. I don't have the reverence I had for it growing up.
Yeah.
And then it's become, of course, so politicized and I just don't want to deal with it. You have to watch about 4 hours of whatever to get about 1 or 2 minutes of fun stuff out of it. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
All right. Zach, anything else going on? Or what do you think about these Marvel shows going away for 2 years?
It sucks, once Daredevil was lost, it was over. From then.
All right. Well,
that was the best show.
We'll just be patient. Sometimes, 2 years will go by before you know it. Also on FX, you've got The Gifted, which is sort of a New Mutants, X-Men kind of show. Yeah. And then Legion, which is amazing. And it's going to end after the 3rd season on purpose. So, but I love Legion. It's one of the craziest, best shows on TV. All right. I got to get us to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Section Zero and hopefully talk about Mexican Spider-Man. If I don't talk about Mexican Spider-Man today, I will in the near future. So Zach,
Arana.
That is correct, sir. So Zach, do you have that? Okay, let's play. This is my buddy Matt Barton encountering a rat in Ultima 1.
Accurate this thing is in terms of speed. Oh, there we go. I knew it. Oh, we got a giant rat. Oh, God. Man, I love these. And I got a mace. Perfect rat-killing weapon. Pounding that thing. With a mace. Gosh, this is what it's all about. I mean, look at he's begging for. He's got like these little claws that he's like, please hit me with the mace. But look, he's like an evil rat too. He's just his eyes, man. And he almost killed me. Got him down to 9 health points, and there's a dad blasted thief after me. God.
Gosh, all right. So there's my buddy Matt Barton playing Ultima 1 and running into a mat. He legitimately loves. Somebody could make a whole psychological career out of studying what just happened right there.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today. The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. I'm ably joined by my buddy Bill Brackeen, who is not only a libertarian at large, but also a geek at large. So how deep are your feet into politics these days there, Mr. Bill?
Well, based on some things that have happened here in the state of Arkansas over the last month, they are a little deeper than they were recently.
That happens. Yes. Sometimes you got to come off the farm.
Yeah.
Because like Jefferson famously went to the farm and then came back. So, and people are always like, hey, you're not as conservative as you used to be. I was like, yeah, I am. I choose my battles. And, and I also try not to treat everybody that disagrees with me like they're Hitler.
Yeah.
But I'm still as conservative as I've always been. I'm just trying to find different ways to make a difference. Right? I know that's crazy. Call me crazy. Yeah,
we're about to roll up our sleeves and go to war with the legislature. So
woohoo! Yep, been there. Okay, but this is a fun, geeky show.
Yes.
So moving right along, I did want to throw out some show notes to make sure that if you're new to the show, give you a little bit more information about how things work around here.
If the notes are important, you should not throw them out.
Well, this is true. So it's a bit of a conundrum. Much like Section 0 not existing, but existing.
There is no Section 0.
Exactly. See, it's crazy. So we'll talk about Section 0. I brought in my Section 0 that I got from the first Kickstarter.
Yes.
That is a nice looking product.
It is a nice book.
That is
yes, it is.
Well put together. I love that cover.
Yes.
This is a well put together.
Yes, and it's probably got both of us on a watch list somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Because we are both among the alleged supporters
of
Section 0.
If it was if Section 0 existed and I had kickstarted it, we might be on a watch list.
Yes.
That's all I want to say. Okay, let me throw out these show notes. We'll talk about Section 0. Now, again, Karl Kesel was originally scheduled to be on today. Karl was on a couple of years ago. Heck of a nice guy. Mm-hmm. Him and Tom Grummett, basically, among other things, Karl's done a lot of work in comic books, but they basically created the Reign of Superman Superboy.
Yes.
Among other things, and had a fun run with him. And I was hoping to get Karl on because the Reign of Superman animated movie just came out. Yep. So I would love to get his take on how they did Superboy.
Yeah, that would be. I would like to hear that as well.
Yeah. So. And I've always had a soft spot for that Superboy, probably because of when it came out. I have a lot of nostalgia for then and everything. But all right, let me throw out some show notes here real quick. The show notes and links for the podcast and Krypton Radio and YouTube version of the show can be found at shaneplays.com. Last week's show is archived. That was episode 177, and we did some geek news and Galactic Scoundrels release party with Little Rock Games, which is a local game design group, and of course co-host Richard McBain. We had plenty of Richard McBain on the show last week. It was a lot of fun. The show does go out as a podcast on the blog, on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud, YouTube, and more. And last but never least, ever least, Shane Plays is also carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is SciFi for your Wi-Fi. KryptonRadio.com. So let's talk. I wanted to ask you, because I asked Richard McBain, and he's in. So last year on Free Comic Book Day, we did our thoughts live from Collector's Edition on Avengers Infinity War.
Yes.
I'd love to get the band back together and do the same thing for Avengers Endgame, because it will have come out by then.
Yes.
So are you interested in that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just have, so Richard's in, you're in. I'll just have to see if the elusive and wonderful Mr. Mike Brown is in. So there you go. And he just got some kind of new gig. I don't know what it is. On social media, he got a new gig, and that's all I know. So I don't know what that means. So hopefully he would be available. So let's talk. Okay.
Maybe he's joined Section 0.
Perhaps. And the best, if Section 0 existed, and we're talking about comic books, it was from Karl Kesel and Tom Grummett. They've done like a lot of creators have, and they've taken to the Kickstarters and the Indiegogos to get their product out. And in a lot of cases, it's better and more interesting than what I can go get off the shelves from the big two.
Yes.
I'm not saying everything from the big two or the indies or the small are terrible. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of this Kickstarter content is fantastic. And this book, like I was just raving about, is I mean, this is high quality. This looks really good. So
yes, it's very well put together book. It's bound very solidly. It's a nice hardcover book. Cheaper than you can buy a lot of
well, and that's an advantage on getting into Kickstarters. A lot of times you can get a better deal over waiting, because even if they're going to go retail with it, you can get a better deal by helping them get off the ground on the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo. A lot of comics are going over to Indiegogo right now. Yeah. So, and I think Indiegogo is kind of actively trying to work with comic book creators. So, so if I had to sum up, if it existed, I would sum up Section Zero as, it's definitely Kirby meets X-Files, Jack Kirby. Mm-hmm. I would even go so far as to say it's Fantastic Four or Challengers of the Unknown meets X-Files.
That's if you, I mean, it's Challengers is not a reference that all the listeners will get probably, but Challengers of the Unknown was the X-Files before the X-Files was. Right. And except that it also had kind of an action adventure element to it that X-Files didn't have. And it's very, very reminiscent of Challengers, and it's also, it's got the breakneck action that Indiana Jones has. There's giant monsters, there's cryptids, there's lost civilizations. It's very, very action adventure oriented, and it's like you were mentioning how like the DC Universe stuff is very dark. Section Zero is not dark.
It's not dark. It's fun.
And I said this the last time when we had Karl on before. The thing I loved about it when it first came out around early 2000 was that it's fun. And not for nothing, most of the things Karl and Tom have done together have been fun. Their work on Superboy was very, very fun, lighthearted, fun. I mean, there was a lot of action in it. And there were some harrowing moments for the characters too, but it was all kind of at a breakneck pace. It's all very much escapist, and not you don't come out of it depressed.
Right. It's fun. It's serious and or dark comics have their place. Yes. Because comics are a medium, not a genre. Right. But for a lot of people, including me and you, fun superhero comics have a big place that we like. We want that. I'll go read dark stuff. I love Dark Knight Returns, and I love Watchmen as much as the next person. Yeah. But those wouldn't be as good if they weren't contrasted against the fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, I love steak, but I don't want steak for every meal.
Right. I've made that analogy a lot. Like, a steak dinner is great, but that's not always what I want. Something I want something that's flavored differently or a little lighter.
Sometimes I want to go eat Chinese. Right. Sometimes I want some Mexican. Sometimes, sometimes I want breakfast for dinner.
Well, let me tell you what I also
Section Zero is very breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, and it's fun. Again, and the reason we're talking about it is because Karl Kesel, along with Tom Grummett, the artist, have another Kickstarter out called Section Zero 1959, which is going to tell another era in the Section Zero story. This is very much, it's superhero storytelling, but it's covert, and it's much like what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, I think, originally tried to do with Fantastic Four. Is they were explorers with unusual powers, maybe fighting the monster of the week, but they weren't necessarily going to be straight up superheroes.
Yes. Right. And there was also kind of the familial element.
The family's important.
And that's part of it. And Section Zero is maybe not necessarily family. There is an element to that with the Challengers and that, because in there, but you've got, very much, this looks like it's going to very much have a Challengers of the Unknown vibe to it, even more so than the last book did. Right. Because it's set in the 50s. That's when those characters were introduced originally. Right. It looks like, I mean, granted, we don't know a whole lot about the project at this point other than the setting and some of the characters that are going to be in it. it's here's this description. I mean, you've got atomic mutations, flying saucers, commies.
Yes, commies.
So it's going to be very much a period piece, and it looks like in the last book they did, several of the characters basically had superpowers, and there may be some element of that here. You can't really tell from the artwork. These look like they're regular Joes.
They look more like science heroes to me, like science pulp adventurers with gadgets and stuff.
And matching uniforms. That's, right. I mean, and so, you got just like the challengers were when Jack Kirby introduced them. One of them was a boxer, one of them was a pilot, one of them was a professor, and I forget what Red's job was. I think he may have been a stuntman or something like that.
I can't remember. I think he was just a man's man with a square jaw. Or something.
And he might have been a race car driver.
I can't something remember. Like that.
But anyway, these characters kind of resemble that to me. You've got the bombastic Bernie Cork, gorgeous George Sine, Everest Pike. I mean, he's like got a cowboy hat and a gun bigger than his head. So, one of these looks like a cosmonaut,
right?
Serena Ursar. And that's another thing to mention about Section Zero is they are not a secret branch of the United Nations.
Not at all.
It does not fund a team of experts and explorers to investigate the strange and unknown. The team is an urban myth, as real as the UFOs and monsters they're allegedly protecting mankind from. And, this is going to be set at the beginning.
Right, when they don't have a clue what they're getting into.
Yeah. So, and that to me is going to be a fun element to it. The last book I felt like it knocked it out of the park.
It's really good. They over-delivered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of it was really, really gratifying to me because when they first tried to publish it back around 2000, they were able to put out like 2 or 3 issues.
Right.
And then it was a special project that they were doing with some other creators, and they had funding initially that disappeared in the wind, and some of those projects were eventually finished, but Section Zero was not one of them.
Yeah, this is a love project for Karl and Tom, and I'm really tickled that they've been able, things like crowdfunding basically has allowed it to move forward. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. There's a human story here that I really wanted to talk to Karl about. Maybe I'll get to catch up with him in the future. I know he's got another project, Impossible Jones, he's playing with. But the first Kickstarter almost didn't fund.
Right.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a Kickstarter come that close to not funding and fund at the last minute.
Yeah.
And Karl even sent out a thing, said, I already had plan B going. I was ready, and then it funded. And boy, did we get a great project.
Mm-hmm.
Section 0 1959 comes through, and it out of $60,000, it almost immediately jumped 30, 40,000. So it's going to make it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask him how that felt compared to that awful, because he thought he wasn't going to make it on the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's currently at $44,202 of 60,000 needed. There are 763 backers, and it's got 19 days to go.
Nice.
And you can, of course, find this on Kickstarter if you want to contribute. I have pledged at the $25 Team Zero level.
That's the level I've pledged.
And you get a copy of the book when it's completed. You get a PDF of the book. You get your name in the list of alleged Section Zero supporters.
Alleged,
yes. You can also support it for as low as $1, for which you get the undying thanks.
Right.
$10, you get a copy of a PDF of the book when it's published. For $20, you get Digital Dimension 00. You get a PDF of both books and your name in the list of alleged Section Zero supporters.
Right.
And so for $20, you can get yourself on a watch list. For $35, you get
if
Team
you've
Zero
always
with
wanted
book plate.
To be on a governmental watch list, this is your chance.
And there's several other levels. Like I'm tempted to bump up to the $65 mystery bag of special edition swag.
If I was still a single man who could eat ramen and dig through garbage cans when the money got tight, I'd do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And my favorite levels, of course, were gone immediately, and they were very high level. For $1,750, they will draw you into the book as a member of Section Zero.
Fun. I wonder if you're dying in
the uniform.
I wonder if you're dying in a horrible, interesting way, because they'd have to get rid of you pretty quick.
Yeah,
I would imagine
there was one of those available, and it was gone within minutes. And there's a couple of other lower levels like that which are also gone, where you could just be a bystander walking through a scene, or or something like that. So there are some levels where they'll send you original art from previous projects or this project.
It's great stuff.
And that's,
and they got a lot of good stretch goals. And the first Section Zero, they delivered timely, and it's got all kinds of pinups from other artists and good stuff.
Yeah. You can get stickers, you can get temporary tattoos.
Yeah, it's all kinds. I'll give a news item here in a second that I'm not interested in, is a complete opposite of what Section Zero is. But we got about 4 minutes left, Zach? Through 4. All right, I've got to get another sponsor love in here to keep Shane Plays on the air. Folks, remember, every $1 of Patreon support, the show gets, the news team gets a penny an hour raise. Anyway, Game Goblins. Some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Conveniently located 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees, Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. You'll like that space because Game Goblins has gaming events every day of the week. For all of your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers, mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Tell them Shane Plays sent you. And if you do go to the store for the first time or to visit again, whether it's Comic Collector's Edition, the comic book store, or Game Goblins, mention that you hear them on Shane Plays. That helps them know that their sponsor money is well spent. All right, we've got about 3 minutes? Yeah. So again, folks, Section Zero, 1959, kickstarting right now. Bill and I have both gotten behind it. It's wonderful fun, and as Mike Brown made the point years ago, comics used to, you could look at a character and instantly tell what they're about. Mm-hmm. This is that kind of fun storytelling. So check it out. The links will be in the show notes, or go to Kickstarter and look for Section Zero 1959. Here is this is the kind of stuff. I actually shared this out, and I said, this makes me yawn, but I guess it's news. And DC's next big event is this thing called Deceased. DCEASED. Yeah. And that's basically where everybody on Earth turns into a crazy zombie, and the Justice League has to fight that somehow. We don't know if it's in continuity and I'm literally yawning.
I'm kind of a mind that it's an alternate reality thing, just because the guy who's doing it is the same guy who did Injustice, which was an alternate reality thing, and that seems to kind of be his bit. Right. But but who knows? It's
my thing is they did Rebirth. Yeah. And for a couple of years, they got back to fun comics. They got to the core of the characters and the stories that people used to love, and their sales started going up. And then they started doing Dark Knight's Metal and the Dark Multiverse, and now we got the Batman Who Laughs, and we've got Deceased. It's not bad storytelling, but I'm like, why did you get off track when your sales were going up? But anyway, I got to draw us down. But I'm much more interested in Section Zero than I am that.
Yes.
Darkest Night, Blackest Night, as good as it was, I don't want every event to be dark like that. So, all right, got to get us wound down. Let me look into the time here. Oh yeah, I got about a minute, so I got to do it. I got to do it, Bill. And by the way, thank you for coming in.
Oh, no problem.
There for a while, I know your schedule got crazy, and I missed having you on, buddy. So, you are the only geek friend I have that is also dual classing political. Yeah. So, is on the level we do. Yeah. So anyway, here's the bad joke of the week. Bad joke of the week, William. I hope you signed your waiver. If I could be any superhero, I think I'd be Aluminum Man. You know why?
No idea.
My superpower would be foiling crime. I think I actually told that one before. now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I didn't? I don't know. I used to draw a character when I was a kid called Aluminum Man that was a parody of Iron Man. All right, we're wrapping down. Any final thoughts there? There is no Section Zero.
No, there's
and
not.
that guy out there in a trench coat and a hat's not there for us.
No.
Not at all. Oh, speaking of, I don't have enough time. Go check out Project Blue Book on History Channel, folks.
Yes.
All right, we'll catch you next time on Shane Plays.
Right.
So I'm going to go off of aim. And I'm going to go over there and I'm going to smack on this dude. Oh, I missed him. Oh, look at this. It's going to turn into a whole situation here. That rat's dead. I'm going to let the other rat come into me. Alright. I don't have enough action points? Really? Oh, 7. Right. Yeah. Alright. Oh, I took 2 hit points. Still alive, man. That thing's hanging in there. It's a tough rat. The rat that wouldn't die. Alright. That rat died. Got some rat meat. I'll take that. And what's up here? More rat meat. Take it all. Love it.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.